pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our agenda this evening is as follows. This was posted on the town website and the town board. Number one, Marie's Views LLC site plan and minor subdivision. Applicant seeks minor subdivision approval and site plan approval to construct a retail store with gas sales on the western portion of the site and a drive-through restaurant and second retail on the eastern portion of the site at 727 to 737 Hoosick Road and 4 Mohawk Avenue. Marie's Muse LLC is the applicant. Number two, Paramount Building Group, major subdivision. Applicant proposes a major subdivision on approximately 33-acre parcel of land, as well as construct a new road with a cul-de-sac and a water line extension on property located on the northeast corner of Spring Avenue Extension and Crick Road. Paramount Building Group of New York is the applicant. Number three, Green, waiver of subdivision. Applicant seeks to subdivide 55.17 acre parcel into a 48.66 acre parcel and a 6.5 acre building lot on property located at Smith Hill Road. Joseph Green is the applicant. We will be reviewing any new applications that have been received since our meeting on December 5th. Our first order of business is to review the minutes of December 5th. Has everybody had an opportunity to review those? Are there any corrections, additions? Okay, hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as they've been submitted. There's a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Our first item is the Marie's Muse LLC. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thanks for having us back. Tim Freitag with Bowler Engineering, here on behalf of the applicant. Back in November, you were here with a site plan that modified the tenant on the western portion of the site. We introduced that concept to the board at the last meeting. We received some preliminary feedback and direction to go ahead and amend our application materials accordingly.
The last meeting, people in the front row couldn't hear anything. So can you people hear what he's saying? Okay.
Might want to raise
Raise it up closer
yeah,
to your.
a little bit.
Thank you. Since our last meeting, we went ahead and provided supplemental information and amended former plans, reports, documents to support the change in user on the western portion of the site. The site plan in general stayed relatively similar to what was presented last month. We did actually push everything back onto the site to obtain some additional space along the frontage between the parking lot and the property line. We now have approximately 8.5 feet there between the edge of the parking lot and the property line to be consistent with more of the development off to the east. We went through and provided a revised package on December 6th. In that, we included a special use permit that's now required for this user for the fuel sales. We included that permit along with the justification in that report. We amended the EAF, which generally was consistent with the original EAF. We added the presence of the special use permit now to the EAF, but the utilities, traffic all warranted the same impacts or potential impacts. We don't see any major or significant impacts from that aspect of the revisions in the EAF. We did speak to DOT and we submitted the revised traffic study up to the town and DOT. They agree that the traffic impacts are less than the former tenant. However, the same mitigation is proposed, so we are proposing to replace the signal and do the McChesney winding similar to the application that was proposed with the former user. We provided revised building elevations and some elevations of the new tenant. As I mentioned, we amended the traffic study that resulted in similar recommended mitigation. We included a full SWIP, or stormwater pollution prevention plan, for the revised layout. We included our full site development plan, some truck turning templates that were requested at the last meeting, and the check for $500 for the special use permit fee. In this cover letter is a response to the engineering comments that we received to date, mostly related to the SWIP and the stormwater. We met on site with town staff and Wayne and his team to do some additional soil investigation that we mentioned in our last meeting. That's all documented in the response to comments and the SWIP. Next step for this project, we're here to continue the discussions on secret. We have to come to a declaration on secret before we can do our joint public hearing with the planning board and the zoning board, and eventually lead to site plan approval and special use permit approval. So I can certainly answer any questions the board may have about the revised site plan, but also looking for concurrence on the revised EAF, see if there's any further questions from an EAF standpoint to hopefully come to a decision on the secret here shortly. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, I had made some notes from our last meeting, and I did see that you did push the beginning of your presentation, you made mention that you did push the site back a little bit, creating a 8.5 foot strip. Did this affect any of the 49 parking places that this applicant required?
No, we did not lose any parking. What we did is we consolidated the space in the back of the building and pushed everything towards the back. We've got a 22-foot drive in the back, and that service loading zone area was reduced slightly.
Yeah, you had some concerns about the truck deliveries and so forth and so on.
We were able to make that work still based on the truck turning templates that were provided in the packet.
The only comment I will make is it still isn't quite far back as the other site, the eastern side. But I appreciate your effort.
It's not as far back as the eastern portion of this project.
Yeah.
However, we did draw a straight line across from the neighboring business to the east to try to project that width. But what I can do is I can pull together some dimensions from that portion of the site to what we're proposing here to better illustrate that setback.
Which site are you referring to?
So the width between the parking and the edge of the roadway here is generally consistent with what's up here.
Okay. All right. That is some question. I'm gonna have to ask Wayne a few questions regarding some of the engineering reports.
Okay.
And we had an opportunity, obviously, to review everything. And you're satisfied that the traffic study is agreeable with you? DOT's evaluation of
We haven't really completed our review, but yeah,
that? Okay.
I assume based on the new proposal that traffic impacts would be less.
Okay. I think that was foregone conclusion, I guess. We did have some discussion about pedestrian crossovers. I thought we needed something from the eastern site to the western side. Am I missing something here? I don't see. Is that the one that's up here in the light blue?
Yeah, thank you for reminding there. We did add the sidewalk connection up on the western side of up Mohawk to allow the sidewalk connection for that street. There would be straight crosswalks across the pavement to the proposed retail and fuel service building, and that would continue across to the east here
Yep.
for connectivity to the other sites. And then the other portion to the east also has a connection out to the railway.
But there is no direct pedestrian access in the front of the quick trip.
That's right, we were hindered by the retaining wall that's going there, so the alternative was to bring that connection up the west side of the site there.
Okay.
This retaining wall wraps the site here, which doesn't allow for a connection up front.
How high is the retaining wall in the front?
We've got about an 8-foot grade differential. So on the eastern portion of the site today, there's actually a large retaining wall out in front of those houses. And the driveway we're proposing at the signal, that's where we're matching grade of the road. And the road's at a steady incline, so we're gonna be cutting the eastern side of the site, so that wall on the eastern side of the site's going away. But we are adding that wall essentially back on the western side of the site to balance it, because we're controlling where that signal in our driveway is in the elevation. So we're cutting a little bit on the east to fill on the west.
And it's, how tall is the wall?
It's about 8 feet at this peak.
Is there plantings at the top of that, or?
There's going to be a safety fence and guide rail at the top there. And there'll be about 2 feet between the top of the wall and your edge of curb.
What'll that safety fence look like?
We're doing a black aluminum fence is proposed.
I mean aesthetically,
Yeah, more decorative than like a chain, not a chain.
okay.
How tall is that?
I'll go back and confirm. I think it's got to be a minimum of 36 inches. I'm not sure if it needs to be 42, but it'll be the code requirement for fall protection.
Well, I didn't want it, I didn't know if it's gonna be 8 feet or,
No.
And then what's proposed in front of the wall? Just lawn?
There's one.
So this, you're saying it's mostly decorative, but it still has to meet the code requirements.
Straight.
Yeah, strength, pushing against it.
That's right.
I noticed in the site plan that the stormwater infiltrators are adjacent to the retaining wall. Have you done that before, or is there some special provision for that?
Yeah, so actually the infiltration system will be at a lower elevation than the bottom of the wall, just so you don't get that pressure behind the wall. There'll be stone with under drains this way, but the infiltration system actually has to be in the existing material, so it's at a lower elevation than that wall, so you don't get that pressure behind it.
Is there a reason why we're not completing the full environmental assessment plan?
We understand this is an unlisted action. We've been using the short form since the start of our application.
Now that we're a special use permit, do we provide that?
I think you filled out a warrant.
Cleaned out my filing cabinet.
So let's backtrack a little. You
I
feel that possibly with
I
the
just
gas
asked,
pumps and the special use permit? Is that
I
annoying?
gotta check to see the regs to see.
and should we also include on this the subdivision?
Which would be that. Whatever, yeah, so we got a subdivision, special use permit. So
It's the same process.
I have a question for Andy. Since we are the lead agency and there's other listed agencies involved, have they all been notified or?
Notified of the amendment to the application?
Yeah,
Not to my knowledge, we can circulate that. This is an amended application. You've already coordinated for lead agency unless there's an additional involved agency, which I wouldn't anticipate, but unless there were, I don't see the need to recirculate for lead agency, but we can certainly circulate the updated amended plan to the investors. Sounds like the applicant has done that at least with one other involved agency, but
I
Make sure
assume the
those are
DOT
circulated. Yeah.
has been done. And obviously actually the special use permit now comes under the planning board, not the zoning board.
correct.
Yeah, and DOT mentioned that, we'll hold tight until they see our next phase, which would be the full traffic signal plans. We'll do the traffic signal plans, as we pursue our permit.
Correct?
What about in terms of stormwater?
That'll be included in the full traffic signal plans. Because we'll have to, accommodate the road widening drainage for McChesney as well.
And that's still delayed, right?
Yeah, that'll be a 6 to 8 month process with DOT as we navigate that permit. What we had talked about previously, that Wayne or Mr. Bradley could do is review our application of stormwater and make a recommendation to DOT about that drainage connection. Right now, we amended our application to not include that drainage connection whatsoever. So we had discussed that maybe the town could write a letter to DOT recommending that connection be more favorable than having emergency overflow out of the driveway and an underground connection.
I thought I saw on the plans that the catch basins were tied into the catch basins on. Route 7.
I think we're showing that future option of where it would be. We're calling that as a potential future connection. But the stormwater analysis and the SWIFT don't include that in the hydro CAD calculations. And we have a significant reduction, so there was a table included in the SWIFT of the reduction of certain stormwater events. The 1 in 10 are in the 90+ percentile reduction, and then I think the lowest 100-year reduction is still close to a 50% reduction. So we're significantly reducing the amount of stormwater that's going to be contributing to the DOT system.
Has DOT seen that SWIFT yet?
They haven't seen the SWIFT. I talked to them about the amended application and the stormwater connection. They said they would review the stormwater connection with the traffic signal plans, and so that's what would be included in that whole package.
Do you have any engineering comments at this point?
No, it's under review. I distributed it amongst the technical staff. and wait for comments back.
Andy, regarding a secret determination, where are we with that as far as procedure?
It's going to be in large part subject to technical review by Wayne's office, including review of the environmental assessment form. My recollection was there was a full EAF, I could be mistaken.
There was.
That was my recollection.
Really, there shouldn't be much effort to revise that and resubmit it, because you've done it once already.
I think so. And it'd be good for the record if there were one EAF identifying all of the municipal approvals, site plan, special use permit, subdivision, and certainly the variances. I presume you still have the same, are the variance applications going to be amended?
They are going to be amended, just because if you recall, in the form application, can't use in front yard.
Right.
Well, across the road.
What's the status of that? You amended?
So the outcome of this meeting on the secret, we're trying to get on the agenda for the January 27th
Seven.
ZBA meeting to
Okay.
introduce the changes and the amended variances.
So in terms of a secret determination, you're going to be looking at Wayne's office, certainly on the technical review. You've had issues regarding principally traffic and stormwater. Traffic clearly has been analyzed. Response to comments on the stormwater, they're still under review. It'd be good to have a full EAF so that Wayne's office could also then prepare the proposed part 2 and 3 for review by the board.
Yeah, that's no problem. We can certainly provide that coming out of this meeting with any changes. Like I mentioned before, I don't see any substantial changes to the format of the materials. We can certainly provide that.
So you're on the schedule for the ZBA in January, is that correct?
We'll be resubmitting to the ZBA in hopes to get on that agenda.
And that is, when is that meeting?
February
27th.
27th.
That January,
Oh,
January
Feb-
27th.
January, I'm sorry.
We'll have two meetings before
Correct.
that. Okay. And hopefully we can get all this information together at our next meeting and do a secret determination, right?
Again, subject to review by Wayne's office to provide technical.
Yeah, we can get that amended EAF over to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then,
You know, I've reviewed it once, you don't have to change it substantially.
Does that sound like a reasonable timeline for you?
We'll have comments back to them before the next meeting. Because it all looks in order, I guess you could proceed with secret.
I think we ought to try to.
At least
shoot for that.
it'll give me a chance to go through part 2.
Okay. All right,
yeah, if we could plan for that, that'd be great. And then if something does come up in the comments, we can adjust if needed.
and then we still have another meeting before the,
I don't think we'll be ready to make the determination at the next meeting, certainly the meeting after that.
So is there any point in attending the next meeting then, or should we just look through the part 2?
I guess it depends on what comments come back on the technical review.
yeah, our first meeting in January is the 2nd,
Correct.
and then the next one will be the 16th.
Not that it matters, I'm not going to be here for the meeting on the 2nd.
Okay? It sounds like they may not be either. So,
Subject to review by Wayne's office.
Yeah.
Holiday kind of.
That's it.
Bit of a
This is-
holiday.
Here's what-
you got the 2nd is 2 weeks during the holiday. That's why
Yeah,
I'm
I'm not
sitting here
working
going,
on the 1st.
okay?
Or next Wednesday.
So you want to maybe plan for the second meeting, the 16th?
If we could do,
Hopefully we'll have everything in line so we can move forward.
yeah, if we could authorize Wayne to work through the revised EAF and the part 2 and be prepared for the 16th, that would work for us. And if we do have comments, maybe by the 2nd or leading up to the 16th, a week ahead of time, we could kind of respond to those questions.
I had already started it before.
Yeah, so it's close to being finished because we could even respond to comments in the interim.
Okay. Is everybody on board with that? Then I guess we'll plan on the 16th, not on the 2nd.
Okay.
All right. Is there anything, any other questions for the applicant? Do you have any questions for us?
I just want to say, to be clear on the stormwater, we prefer a piped connection, and I think we're just showing it this way because we won't know if we can or cannot until we get into the review process. From a maintenance standpoint, the pipe connections are much safer than it should be.
Okay,
So,
all right,
Um,
but you have to wait for
we have to
DOT.
wait, and we appreciate some information out in a letter or something to help sway DOT to make that decision.
Can we do that?
I think it could be
Where would
as
that come
simple as
out?
a comment in the.
Yeah, the town can certainly coordinate with comments. Town does have some responsibilities as an MS4, so they can review the SWIP and kind of coordinate with the DOT on that. If
Okay,
there's any comments on a preferred connection into the state system.
okay. All right,
There's been a lot of discussion between my office and Bill about that connection.
okay,
And then also at the 16th, if seeker does move forward, the next step from there would be to set a joint public hearing. So that's kind of the next step outside of seeker that would be.
and just as a timeline, we might be able to do that at our first meeting in February, because I think there's 3 weeks now. Just thinking outside the box. But I would probably,
Subject to coordination with the zoning board, because
Yes.
one of your boards will have to schedule a special meeting.
okay. So we might be towards the end of February then with a potential public.
And then in the last CBA meeting, they were just waiting for the invite from this board of that public hearing date. So we'll go back to the zoning board on the 27th, provide them a similar update to the application and the amended variances. And then hopefully it will be the same outcome. They'll be waiting for this board's invite to a joint public hearing.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next month of the new year.
Next year, yeah. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Okay, next on our agenda is the Paramount Building Group.
Sure, that's
Give it a second. We were up a little bit here.
I'm gonna grab that easel, so.
Thanks, buddy. Oh, you're welcome. Appreciate it.
While you're getting set up there, we did receive notice from the town that they approved your waiver of a
Yes, sir.
number of.
Good evening, by the way, Matt Baumgartner, engineering here again. It's good to see everybody.
Where is it?
So yes, we had the town board meeting last Thursday. That went well. It was resolution 83, where we passed the resolution granting zoning variance to have 17 lots total connected to the cul-de-sac. So the plan exactly as we had presented to this board previously.
Perfect, okay. Anything new on this drawing that we should be aware of?
So as far as layout has stayed exactly the same since prior presentation. We have a little more shading to the drawing just for presentation purposes. As the stormwater design has progressed, we're showing the roadside swales along both sides of the new cul-de-sac and drainage easements and piping and outlets that will be going, conveying stormwater runoff from the road to the stormwater management area for treatment. So those are now more visible on this plan. Plans themselves are progressing along, so we want a copy of the plans for the board tonight. We have submitted to Rancho County Department of Health as well, as they'll be reviewing the septic designs. So those are into account as well.
I assume that the dark green on this is the wetlands.
Yes.
There are some changes to the wetland regulations in the first of the year. Does that affect anything there?
Speaking with our consultant, well, these wetlands are already DEC wetlands. So this is the largest one that already has a 100-foot buffer in place on it. And for the consultant's review of the site, it does not appear that the other wetlands would be affected by the ruling or regulation.
Okay. Wayne, have you had any information on the stormwater management? Or did you just?
I looked into it, but I just,
Okay, all right.
I would tend to think that he's correct, just based on like the wetland numbers.
Okay.
It's gotta kind of have the same characteristics. Yeah, as the same wetland.
Okay.
The one that's borders the parcel here is significantly smaller than the tipping point. I believe it's like 7.5 acres is the whole area where it becomes potentially under the DEC's jurisdiction. So
Okay.
that's significantly less. And the largest portion on the site is already under DEC control with a 100-foot buffer accounted for. No proposed disturbance grading anything within that buffer.
Now that retention area,
Yes.
is that like a road that goes across there for maintenance purposes? Is that what it is?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, that's likely, we're looking at a couple potential layouts for that. There's also the potential of a small access road off of Creek there, just to get into, basically to provide maintenance to the outlet control structure that needed to be plugged out. So equipment could get in there, a truck and a small trailer, things of that nature, just to get it to maintain the project.
Well, I noticed that there is some like excavation being done on the site. That area there where is that, what is that? That is the main road there, is it? Is that a utility road or what is it?
I'll have to check with the applicant on that. I don't believe that's in the same, I believe it's
It's more where, pretty much where the, detention area is. Like, has anybody been by there to see it?
I'm sorry.
I mean, it looks like there's a pretty good cut through there, and I was just kind of curious.
Okay. Yeah, I can check with the applicant on that. So no, most of the field he's been using for haying, and I know he does have farm animals and agricultural needs. So, but I'll check with the applicant on that and update the board.
Okay.
When you did perk test, did you have to do some excavation, significant excavation to get down to where it's septic?
Yeah, we did quite a few spots, we did a deep hole test, we did location verify. It's like a silky material, a silky gravel in a lot of the site. We speak with the county, actually, their most recent example of one of these types of subdivisions was in the town here, I think it was Brunswick Acres, where they said very clearly, okay, we can show that everything, working with the proposed grades, but everything will need to be verified prior to issuance of the permission to construct on the paths. So we did add, there was a note that they specifically asked for on that Brunswick Acres, so we added that same note to the septic plans, that they're all to be verified.
So I have a concern about lot 18. Its proximity to the wetlands. Because I know that this property, so I have some concerns there. You have enough room? I mean, what's the setback from the wetland?
That being an Army Corps wetland, they do not have a disturbance setback. You can disturb right to the edge of it, but do not go in it without permission. So, the DEC has a 100-foot setback. So this is a potential home location, and the houses too, they're oversized quite a bit. They're 40 by 60. Just so you know, so that's a rather large footprint, a 2,400 square foot footprint there. And that's one potential location. That is a 5.5 acre lot. So the home could be set.
Where you have the pictures, it looks like you're gonna be in that wetland if you backhoe out where it's not quite,
Yep, everything would be delineated and marked out with more construction fencing. Yeah, it's certainly something to be concerned with too. And during the course of construction, they should be working in close conjunction with their stormwater inspector to make sure that any delineating fence anywhere near where they'll be excavated is in place, clearly demarking.
so
Silt fence, curb cut, but also like an orange, that snow fence, to provide a visual barrier to anyone who's going to be operating in the area. Make it very clear, as well as we typically recommend signage saying protected area, do not disturb throughout the course of construction.
years ago, this was a park. I remember when I was out of the park,
Okay.
and it had filled in with silt over the years. But obviously, it's still not done.
Okay, just as a clarification, the three wetlands that are on the bottom part of that drawing are all DEC. No, they're not core. They're
Core. That's right.
Exactly. And the one up in the top is DEC.
Right. Correct. Yes. Yeah, I believe, you may know better than I am. I was told, I'm not familiar with the history of the property, that was actually man-made. It was dammed up for an ice pond. But that's, so it was probably a significantly smaller, but it was dammed up. 6 feet, we can see that now. Yeah.
Well, there was like a farm and everything that's now further down Spring Avenue, if you go west. I think that was part of it.
Okay.
Of course,
So that's just a potential.
agricultural expert. was right
Correct.
there.
But yeah, because it's, let's see, if you have, for example, like C100, we have the building setback lines shown for that lot. So there's a rather significant buildable area for that home. That was just an example of which. So that's page 5, page 5 of the C100. You can see the smaller, thinner dash line inside showing the building setback lines for the lot. So.
And you have room for the septic in there too, right?
Right.
This is the,
This is gonna be bad.
yeah, well, that's separate from the.
So there's, this dash line here kind of passes around the entire inside of the parcel, so that makes that line. So there's a significant, amount of space to play with, you know, that being a 5.5 acre parcel. The home could be set back up into the parcel. So.
Anybody else have any questions about that?
On lot 10, what are those two lines coming down along the driveway?
Lot 10, right here.
Yeah,
Stone line swales, so, to have drainage between the two driveways to convey it. Just because grade there is a little more than 5%, proposed, so we're proposing to line those swales just to help with erosion, potential for erosion, to basically mitigate it right out of the gate.
and it goes down from the cul-de-sac.
Yes, yep, so these are all gonna drain along, there will be conveyance piping under the driveways to discharge into the forebay here, and ultimately the infiltration basin. So when we had a meeting with the highway department and the water and sewer department and engineering, we discussed conveying the runoff. There's gonna be pipe conveyance here, here, and here from the road. And those swales along the side of the driveway will then ultimately be piped to the basins as well.
That knob that's there now, you're gonna take the top off of that, or in the field?
Yeah, so that will be basically graded and leveled off.
Do you have any idea how much you're gonna drop the top of that?
We do have a profile, sheet shown, so, once there's some in the neighborhood of, that not, that rises up rather steep there. As high as over 30 feet or 40 feet? 40 feet.
You're gonna take it down 40 feet?
I read that, right? 5,
Yeah.
5,
Yep.
maybe more.
Yeah, that's the.
Is that gonna remain, that's not gonna remain on site, is it?
This is-
No, that, sometimes your applicants work oversight. So there's quite a bit to level the lots, 17, these lots. There's quite a bit that will be needed to level those, but there will need to be material taken off site. And right now, so what you see on the profile on page 9 there, that is to basically get the road in at, we have to come off at -3% off the Creek Road, and then start catching grade at a 5% grade for that road. With like a safe grade, easily plowable, minimal maintenance required. When you've got roadside swales at 5% grade, as opposed to going up somewhere near 10%, then you're.
That is, that you're gonna dedicate, is that gonna be a dedicated road to the town?
Correct, yeah.
How much stuff are you figuring on taking off site?
I do not have that number.
Does it ever get to be so much that it's a mining permit?
Yes.
It's like, what, 1,500 yards or something?
Thousand,
1,000 yards?
750 cubic yards for 1,000 ton, am I right, or is it flipped?
I-
It's not a lot of material in a 12-foot span,
I thought
triggering the need for a mining permit.
it is 1,500.
You guys consider that?
Yeah, I believe with the exception of site plan approval. A cut to grade, basically, is my understanding, so.
Okay.
We're gonna need those numbers. Validate them.
So, yeah, right, so you're aware, I think what you're talking about is called the construction exemption for the state mining program, which many years ago used to be a little bit more lax, but the department, and particularly this region, is a little bit more strict on these days. So what's generally required is you do need to coordinate with the department to obtain approval for a construction exemption. You can coordinate with Wayne on that.
Great, thank you.
Issues for the board to consider is going to be volume coming off, number of trucks, types of trucks, proposed truck route. Things we've dealt with that on other projects like the Hannaford. So depending on the volume of material coming off, those are things for you to consider.
We need to know where it's gonna go.
You don't necessarily need to know where it's going to go. Once it's leaving the site, it's a commercial product. Like, and where the market bears, but that you will need to know the proposed truck route leaving the site, because that'll have to be examined. But assuming it would be on spring rather than creek, but you can confirm that.
I presume that.
One more thing I'll raise, and then I'll be quiet again, which is, we talked about the stormwater. For projects like this now, the town does require a drainage district to be formed.
Yes, sir.
So add to the, maybe you have, or maybe you're looking at an old one, add to your environmental assessment form for town board approvals, not just the water district extension, but the drainage district staff.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? At some point, you're going to have to get a set of these plans to the local fire company
Yes.
to examine the roads, where the hydrants are, so.
Yes, yep, we're making progress on that. I believe we've got a phone number now for the fire chief, so we
Okay.
can coordinate on paper plans, or electronic plans, whatever their preference is.
Okay. Okay. I don't have any other questions. Is, Wayne, are you all set?
I just want to know what the status of the stormwater design is.
So we're working on, heavily on this book now, so we'll open, holidays and just like, but we'll be getting that over to your office as soon as possible. So, we're well into the design. So it's getting it packaged up and finalized and over to your office.
Well, with that in mind, in the holidays, do you want to be put back on the agenda for January 2nd or the 16th?
Let's see. The board's okay with it, you mind on the second, and then we can touch base, and if we don't think it's far enough along or clean policy that had enough time to review, would you be okay with us postponing it to the 16th?
Right, it's been your practice in that case to put it down as tentative.
Okay, we'll tentatively put you down for the
Subject
2nd.
Great, thank you, we appreciate that.
Okay. Is there anything else that you have questions for us, or does anybody on the board have questions for you? I think we're all set for tonight.
Great, thank you. So we'll just check off all the boxes, the fire department, updating the, so the comments there, and, coordinate on. Thank you very much, I really appreciate your time tonight.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is the Green Waiver Subdivision. Oh, it's been a long time here, Mark.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
Stiff sitting there.
we should be used to it.
Good to see you all again.
All right.
I have a very short spiel I'd like to say.
Oh, my God.
I don't have any easels, so you'll have to refer to your own map.
We got, get the board.
Okay.
Well, you heard, I assume you got some of our
Mark.
comments
Mark.
in our last meeting.
I did a little bit. I was going to address those.
Okay, let's address those.
Mark,
I'll get with that. I'm good, thank you. If I need it, I'll put it up there. Thank you, though. Okay, here we go.
Okay,
My name's Mark Danskin, I'm a local land surveyor. I'm here representing JT Green, who is the applicant, and the owner, Frank Brendan School, who is JT's great uncle.
Yep.
In 1992, Frank was conveyed the 5.5 acre parcel shown in the southwest corner of the map in here from, I believe, Mr. Lemner. It was a standalone parcel at the time, meaning it was not subdivided out of any other piece. It was the entire premises. It actually came out of the tar box parcel in 1948. As Dave knows. It has 600 feet of road frontage. It was approved with a sewage system by Rensselaer County Department of Health, August 30th, 1994. And upon purchase, it came with the existing driveway that is there today. In 2015, 20 years later, Frank purchased the Conroy parcel, which is the 49 acre parcel to the east or the right on the map, which is a vacant parcel. It has 1,420 feet of road frontage. Originally, the 5.5 acre parcel was tax ID number 82.1-25. And the Conroy piece is 82.1-3.1. The only two things that connect these two parcels is Frank's name and that they abut each other. There's nothing else that connects these two. They're separate parcels for over 40 years. In 2018, Frank got a tax bill that was a little high. So we called the tax department in town and asked them why his taxes were on these parcels. And they said they combined into one tax ID number to save them a few dollars and to convenience for clerical billing, one bill instead of two. And they assured him that it would stay two parcels. It's two separate deeds. One deed is 1992, one deed's 2015. Two separate parcels. So that's when he realized that his parcel was merged. And upon going to sell to Mr. Green, his great nephew, the 5.5 acre parcel, he didn't have an ID number, so we could not fill out the paperwork. So when contacting Rensselaer County Tax Services, they said that that would require the okay from the planning board to get the tax ID number. So at this point, we're here to request a waiver of subdivision regulations to get our old tax ID number back for the 5 acre parcel and have these viewed as and recognized as separate lots as they should have been and always have been.
okay,
That's all I got for now.
that's all you got? Well, when we were reviewing this under new business at our last meeting, there was comments made about the barn that's on the 5.378.
There is an outbuilding barn, I would guesstimate 20
Accessory
by
structure.
30,
Okay,
it's not a shed.
okay,
Accessory structure, correct. And I'd say that existed since
Frank can correct me, but I'd say 19, before the year 2000. 25 years ago.
Well, I think we have maybe dealt with this, and I think you may have been involved with it at one time, about an accessory building on a divided lot. That is not a primary residence. You need a primary residence.
I am familiar with the rule.
Okay. And we have approved these waivers with a building on it, with the contingency that a permanent residence will be put on that lot within a particular time, or the building has to be removed.
Okay. Now, that building's been there for 20 years, 25, just saying. And these were always two separate parcels.
I mean,
And if the tax department didn't do what they did, we wouldn't be here today. We'd be drawing a building permit.
Okay.
Just saying.
I have people looking at me. What you presented makes no sense to me from a title perspective. The tax department can't change title to property, so if it were two deeds.
And it is still two deeds. When you go look
I
it
don't
up.
understand, the tax map isn't controlled, chain of title is controlled.
Correct.
I'm not sure what.
But
we're
when you
doing.
fill out, in order to convey a piece of property, you have to fill out the form,
Mhm.
and it asks for the tax ID number.
Correct.
And if you put part of
No, I don't know.
81-3.1,
I understand that.
they're
but
gonna
I'm-
ask, well,
I'm not sure why the
where's the
tax
approval?
department's not giving you a separate tax ID number for a separate deed.
Because so many of this is happening in the county that they said that I needed a letter from, this is right out of the words of Jolene Wyvich, head of the tax department, that I would either need a letter from the board saying that this is okay, or I would need to file this map, meaning I would need it stamped by the health department, you guys, in the regular filing procedure, to get the tax ID number back and make that little dash line on the tax map solid.
Okay. I don't know where that puts me in this book. Tell you the truth, I don't know.
Well, there's nothing, no reason why, well, you have your building, your outbuilding rule.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know. I don't have any comment on that, but there would be no reason that the board couldn't approve this under a waiver of subdivision because it, as Andrew just said, it stands alone in a chain of title. It's not even in the same chain of title. It's just connected by a guy's name and it butts against it.
How soon have you looked to build on this lot? Was it 2 or 3 years?
Well, you went and asked for a reduction in your taxes by merging. the
He
two
did not,
properties.
he did not. They merged the property thinking he would want one. And they wanted to only do one tax bill. And you gotta remember, they're doing everybody into town, so if there's a lot of these, it's not just like one guy, you know, they're probably saving, I don't know, 100
If there's a lot of these,
100
how come we
bills,
haven't run into these before?
100 bills, they're not. You know, I don't know why they would do what they did, but they did. And that's why.
Mark, if there's hundreds of these, how come we haven't bumped into these before?
Other towns, Jolene said that they were coming back too much without, they couldn't keep track of them all, and they couldn't follow the deeds. If you go down to the county clerk's right now and you punch in this tax ID number, you will get one deed reference. And that is to the 5.5 acre parcel.
I don't
It
understand
doesn't
how
even
the county
reference
can
the
do that.
correct deed, to be honest with
Like, this doesn't make, to me, it doesn't make any sense.
you. Why they wouldn't just give me the tax ID number?
I don't understand, first of all, how they just took it upon themselves to converge these two things.
Well, that was the town.
No, the
That wasn't
county,
the county, that was the town.
the county controls the tax maps.
Controls the tax maps,
Mhm.
yes. The town is
It
the
it
one,
issues the tax ID
the
numbers.
town, I believe, is the one that issued,
The town
that
doesn't issue
started
tax
the
ID
ball
numbers.
rolling, that started the ball rolling, merged these into, and perhaps I'm wrong, and maybe it was the county that started the ball rolling to merge these into two because of what, but either way, they're still not attached, except by ID number.
Mark, you got two deeds?
Two Ds, I got them with me if you want to see them.
Well, we don't need to see them. I think the
Okay.
county needs to see them.
County's got them.
We've all contacted the county.
We've been around, this year our last stop.
He's welcome. We've all been in contact, and each time they tell us to contact the town needs to change it. I've explained it at least 3 or 4 times, and as you guys, it makes no sense to me either. But we have 2 separate deeds. He's never wanted to join them in one number. When we do bring it up, it brings up an error, and the county keeps telling us to go here. Why? I couldn't tell you, because to me, they should be able to do all this, to change it back.
And the clerk won't
Presumably,
file
they're
the
asking,
deed.
presumably they're asking the planning board to act on an application that is, if it's 2 separate deeds, it's not properly in front of the board. You're asking for a subdivision where there's already 2 lots.
I know, but you're the only one that thinks it's 2 lots. Everybody else thinks it's 1 parcel, everybody else being the county, because they're the ones that issue the ID numbers.
I know it's
You
10.
did-
And I can't
Well,
convey
you're
the
telling
5
us you
acre,
got
I
two-
can't convey the 5 acre piece without an ID number.
No, that I understand, but you're
And I can't
You're
get the
asking the
ID
planning
number.
board for an approval for a formal municipal action being taken. There's really no application in front of it. If you've got 2 separate deeds, you're asking for a subdivision. Why would a planning board act on a subdivision when there are already 2 separate
Well,
lots?
I'm not arguing you there. I agree with
You're
you.
asking-
We don't
I guess-
understand why we're here either, to be honest.
And I'm concerned that the board's acting in a manner that's outside its jurisdiction.
I guess what my main thing is, should I be going to the county and telling them to fix this now? Where do I need to go with my next step forward? Because there are 2 parcels, like I said, I agree with you guys. I don't know why I'm here. This is just what the county's told us 6 different times to come here, and every time I explain it to somebody, which I get, it doesn't make sense. I need to know where I have to step forward to put my name on that before I can even do anything. So realistically, I just want to know, should I be going to the county and say, hey, you need to fix this now and go from there? Or is there more I have to do here? I'm just looking for step forward.
And I've spoken to Jolene specifically about this. And she said, you need a letter. At a minimum, you need a letter from the planning board saying it's okay.
This board has never
Or-
issued such a letter.
Or, I think this is a pretty new thing.
No, we dealt with this in the city of Troy, no.
The
I
city
dealt
of
with
Troy,
that
I
in
was
the
gonna
city of
bring
Troy.
up the city of Troy, because on the city of Troy, you can have a deed with 5 different parcels on them, and they're not even on the same block. And so it's impossible to give them one ID number, you know what I'm saying? But it's the same theory. They're on one deed, but they're all different parcels. This is not even like that, because it's 2 separate deeds. But I guess what I'm saying is,
Could he-
you know,
Could he
it's
merge
almost
them and make
impossible
one
to-
deed and then come back to us and we'll split them up?
If I leave here and go to Jolene, I'll be back January 2nd. Asking you guys for the same thing. I guarantee.
Doesn't the county clerk, county clerk?
That's where we started, because county clerk would not file the deed because it said part of 3.1, which is a tax ID number. And as soon as you see part of, that means there was a subdivision, and that means you need a stamp. And I think this is fairly new. This procedure part of it is new to the county because they're having trouble following the deeds. For example, if I went into them and that deed showed up on them, they wouldn't even know where it went. It's not in, it's
Is there still a
lost
lot?
there. You
Is there
punch in the
still a
ID
tax
number and you don't
ID?
get that deed anymore, so they're kind of lost. Pardon me,
I'm
Linda?
sorry, I didn't mean to. Is there still a tax ID 25?
No. It's gone. It's waiting to be filled. It never is.
So the county did this, right?
Pardon me?
The county didn't.
They had to get an opinion
It
from
was
the
the county or
county.
the town, somebody in tax services in one of the
So how do-
municipal organizations.
Doesn't there have to be a document somewhere with someone's signature on it? Go find that guy. and
I don't think it does. No, I think they just did it. Frank didn't sign anything. Frank's the owner, he didn't sign anything.
All of a sudden, you just got a bill, one bill.
He got one bill and it was for $100 too much, and he called up and complained, why'd you raise my taxes? He said, we didn't, we saved you a couple bucks by merging it. And he asked, they'll always be separate, they're on two separate deeds. And they said, yeah, you'll just get one bill. So he didn't do anything about it. And now he wants to sell it, and it doesn't seem to be separate anymore.
Well, I don't think this board has any
This board's
jurisdiction
the
to
only
do
place
that.
I can go. I mean, without a letter or a
I
stamp from
appreciate that,
this
I
board,
think that's.
without a letter or a stamp from this board, I can't convey the land. Frank can't convey the land.
I'm sympathetic with Frank, I am, but you're asking this board to do something that is not potentially within the jurisdiction of the board. I get the frustration. This is not a town planning board issue. Hate to say it, this is a
Excuse me, I don't
county
mean to
issue.
interrupt, but, so I called the county, which is where I started. They put me in touch with Jason.
Look, I'm not arguing with anyone. You can do
I'm
whatever you
asking
want.
the
This is
question.
not a planning board issue.
They said
But you can do what you want.
They said they didn't do it. So they said that the town did it. So we had to go back to the town to tell them to change the dotted line and tell them to make it whole and issue the two bills. Who issues the bills?
Who issues the bills, the town or the county? Town issues the bills.
They
County
said
issues the bills.
County issues the bills.
The town bills?
Yeah, they.
Correct. The county prints the bills and mails the bills.
So who tells them what to put into print though?
We're
I'm gonna counsel the board, okay? I'm not gonna counsel you on what to do here.
not arguing, we're just looking for our next step is all.
I understand that you're asking the board to
I'm
figure
not
this out.
asking, I'm not asking, I'm just saying, what would be your opinion to where we should go? That's all I'm getting at. I'm not trying to be a jerk or
They said
nothing.
that they didn't, the county said they didn't do it, but the county did, so we had to come back to the town and ask for two bills.
You may want to consult to the town attorney that can investigate. If the county is saying the
Okay.
town did this,
Yeah.
maybe approach the town, ask for the town attorney to look into that.
Okay.
Town.
Tom Shaw.
Perfect. So they can look into that. This is, again, I'm counseling the board here. But from what I'm hearing here, this does not make any legal sense to me at all. From a real property title
We are
perspective.
great,
None.
like, we're not arguing that, because they should have never touched the property, it's not theirs, and we should have never combined them without something signed or anything.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a joiner deed or something titled. All right, so.
I'm sympathetic. From a chain of title, legal perspective, this makes no sense. And it sounds like administratively, someone may have done something to a tax map or a tax ID number. From a legal perspective, in terms of title, it's irrelevant.
So could it be possible, you know, as the board, is it possible that this tax ID number still is just lingering out there and just hasn't been issued and?
It hasn't been issued, but it's not lingering.
Well, what if I mean, if nobody else.
Nobody else is using it, you get it back.
Do that?
Yeah, I
Still
would assume
exists.
that. I don't.
Yeah, but Jolene's the one that's gonna give you the ID number.
How does he get all
Jolene's
these?
the one that
And
wants
Jolene said
to-
no, that.
Jolene's the one that
Let me see his
said, I wanna
business
make
card.
sure that the planning board is cool with taking it out. Because she doesn't read the deeds, she doesn't even know deeds reflect the parcels. Yes, you know, she depends on the map and the stamped map and
The tax map. Who creates the tax
I
map?
don't know how she does her job.
I think we're out of that.
This is Nate's son, this is why we contacted County first. They do everything.
I'll call the county tomorrow, and I'll tell them that the board
Well, if
says
they say,
there's
if
no
they- if
jurisdiction
they
in
say
this
it's
matter.
originated at the town, why don't you just go to the town? You know, like was suggested.
Because they told me to come to you. They told me to go to the planning board and get a stamp map. The town can't stamp a map. I can't file anything in the county clerks. I need to file something to say that it's okay.
Now, when you say that,
These
you
to
say
be
that
two separate
the town
parcels.
of Brunswick sent you here.
No, the county sent me,
All right,
tax service sent me.
all
I
right.
guess the question.
And I don't
would
mean
be,
the town, I
what-
mean
what-
the planning board
I understand that,
specific.
Mark. But maybe the question posed is, when were these parcels legally merged? When were they legally merged? Show me that. Because unless you can show me that they were legally merged, how did we lose a tax ID number? That's not a town planning board issue.
Okay.
And if you want to go to the town, consult with the town attorney and the town assessment department and coordinate with the county, that's fine. But unless you can show two separate parcels, two chains of title were legally merged, then there's nothing in front of this board to do.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for your time. It was great seeing you.
Nice seeing you. And,
And if necessary, I'd like to
I wish
reserve
you
the right
luck.
to come back January
you know,
2nd.
I'm sorry we couldn't do something.
No, no, Wendy.
I
gotcha. I gotcha.
We never really understand why we were coming here either. That's why I kept saying this makes no sense, because there's no need for subdivision when it's already subdivided. And then what tweaks me off is somebody touched his property and merged them together without a written approval. So, but no, thank you for your time, and, hey, we know a little more than we did before.
Okay. I wish you luck and
Thank you.
have a happy holidays.
Thanks again.
Good seeing you, Frank.
Same here.
It's been a while.
You shouldn't be getting by without me.
Just barely, Frank.
Well, I can stay in a third spot for half an hour, makes you feel better.
Only at a public hearing.
That's true.
Thanks
All
again.
right. That concludes our agenda. Under new business, we have one waiver to look at. Find it. We received a waiver of subdivision from Jason Smith. And this is at 350 Datter Hill Road. Did everybody get that in their packet? We'll take a quick look at that, see what has to be done here. Would you like to fill us in at all, Linda?
Yes, what the applicant is seeking to do is to do two lot line adjustments through a waiver of subdivision application. And the lot line adjustment would be with 295 Gator Hill, giving property on both sides of that lot. And then there's a large section of 350 that they're going to be conveying to Wagner Farms. That is property that goes across the road. It's on both sides of the road. And there's a portion on the same side that 295 is on that he is looking to convey to Wagner Farm. That's the other lot line adjustment. They're not creating any lots. They're just making two lots bigger. And
I don't see that.
This is giving land to Mark Wagner.
So lands approved to be conveyed to Mark Wagner. Yes, right here.
That's not Wagner's Farm.
No, Wagner Farms is this portion here. This is King's, this is King's.
Oh,
We're
okay.
conveying it to Wagner Farms.
They're keeping that.
They are, that is correct.
Wagner Farm. is
And they're
getting
still
this, and
keeping
Mark's
this.
getting this.
Correct, yes. This is a main, this is the main, this is also King's Great Farm.
Mhm.
And the conveyance of the other sides.
Okay.
And then this large portion on this side to that.
Okay. I think the first question I had is, can this be done with one neighbor, two lot line adjustment? So when they get all done, how big is this lot gonna be? It'll be
0.65 plus 0.74 plus
plus
whatever the existing was.
1.9.
1.947.
So it's gonna be about 3.5 acres.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0.5654, that's one.
Now, I think the question I have is,
Okay.
1.945.
is this driveway that exists here now, is that basically going to service the barns and everything that are around the Kings Grant Farm LLC property?
3.368.
I mean, certainly they could put another road in if they wanted.
Wagner's own the other way, like down here.
Yes,
So this is
they're
and
conveying it
Wagner's
all.
farm. Wagner Farm operates all this. Mark Wagner is not part of Wagner Farm. He's a brother from the past.
Right.
Harry Wagner rent the rest of King Grant Farm.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on this?
In the, short EAF, it says, merge with lands of two adjoining owners.
Yes, they're merging the lands with Mark Wagner. So 350 Dater Hill is merging King's Grant Farm with a portion of the property will be merged with 295 Dater Hill, which is Mark Wagner. And Wagner Farms would, this portion of it would be conveyed to Wagner Farms, the 73.75. So those are the two properties.
So can,
Wagner's are gonna merge it in.
Right, to be merged with Wagner Farms.
The-
Right
There's-
here. Yep.
so can that be done with the work?
They're merging it, that's.
Oh, because we're not
Yeah,
creating
you're not,
another-
we're not creating a lot, yeah. they're
Unless they
not.
come back and say they didn't want it.
Right.
It happens.
I can't remember when, but
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Does everybody feel comfortable with putting them on the agenda for the second? Move forward with, I can't see if anything they have to add to it or anything, do you? It's a lot line adjustment. So. Does anybody here
Well, if the
represent
board
anything?
has any questions, I know the surveyor is here.
Yes.
If I may, I'm Bill Darling, representing the Education School. First of all, I apologize for the large pieces of paper that you have to deal with. So I was
trying to overhear Wendy as she was explaining this to the group, but, so essentially, looking at the property, if you're familiar with it, Mark Wagner has Luke's Vegetables. Well, he's got 2 gardens next to his house, and those are the 2 pieces that he's picking up from Kings Grant Farm to merge with his house parcel. Okay, so that's that. So this is all agricultural. The large piece that's being conveyed to Wagner Farm, that's being leased right now to Wagner Farm. They've got cows in the barn, and crops on the property. So no change in use, no change in occupancy. They're just taking possession of ownership of the land.
They're just spreading the lot.
Exactly.
All right. Now, let me just clarify one thing. We're talking about Kings Grant Farm LLC. Everybody keeps on bringing up Wagner Farms. They are just the leasee, is that correct?
Right now, I believe they're under lease, or at least they are using the property. I presume they're paying for it under the lease. But Kings Grant Farm, they own hundreds and hundreds of acres there. So they're cutting out those little pieces for Mark Wagner for his house. Wagner Farms is a separate entity.
And they're gonna sell, Kings Grant Farm is gonna sell or convey to Wagner Farms at 73.7.
Correct.
That's after this has been done. So that, there's no action that has to be done with Wagner Farms. All the action has to be done with the lot line adjustment.
With Kings Grant.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's a
Okay.
Kings Grant application to convey 3 parcels of theirs to Mark Wagner, 2 little pieces, and a larger parcel to a different owner, which is Wagner Farm.
Okay, got it. Are you available to come back on the second? All right, we'll push on the schedule for the 2nd of January, the first meeting of the year. Now, I don't see any major issues, but if they do come up with, we'll address them. I think it's fine to move forward. All right.
What's that?
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Have a nice Christmas.
Yeah, probably.
Happy holidays.
Your ag data statement?
Is this in an agricultural district?
Yes, it is.
It's
Yes.
all agricultural.
Thank you.
We will need an ag data statement.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, that concludes the new business. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Under old business, we did receive a letter from the New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation regarding the Chesney Avenue solar project. And there was no environmental impacts or anything that we received a letter from them. So put that with the packet of stuff for that.
As far as this action or whatever, this solar field, I was up on Crick Road the other day, and you can see Beejan's house clear as day from Crick Road.
Yeah.
And you'll see probably quite a bit of that solar field. I mean, I don't know. I was there, I saw it passing it on.
Now, did you see the top part of the
I
house?
saw the whole house.
The whole house.
And then a couple hundred yards in front of it towards
Oh, okay.
Crick Road.
What I was
It's
trying to-
up by Menemsha Lane, if you look back. Just,
Where are they in the whole scheme of things as far as coming back before us?
They resubmitted,
comments to our first review. And we have updated the plan, updated the VIA, submitted the stormwater, and almost done with the review of that now. And we'll get comments back to them next week. So, yeah, I mean, we don't have to put them on any agendas at this point, is that correct, Andy?
Carrie was wondering if January 2nd was going to be a planning board meeting. Carrie, the representative for CVE.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she's possibly thinking,
No,
To be on the
general
agenda.
practice is once the
Okay.
technical review's been
Okay.
completed, they should come back.
All right, then they're
mhm,
on hold at this point.
okay.
Is there anything else? Just to review our agenda, for the second, we have Paramount coming, and we have the Jason Smith. Who's Jason's? Jason Smith now. I thought we were talking about Wagner.
Jason Smith owns King
Kids.
Grant Farm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jason Smith, the family owns Troy Belt in Waterloo.
Okay. Was that part of the old, what was his first name? His first name? George Smith.
George Smith,
Yeah, okay. Now it's all starting to come together. All right,
He died racing cars in
yeah.
Connecticut.
He used to race boats, everything. That concludes, I think, everything we have. I would like to maybe just make an announcement at this point. Mark is going to be leaving us. Kevin. That's Kevin. Kevin, excuse me. Kevin, Mark. Kevin. Kevin, excuse me, Kevin. He's going to take a job with the town. Maybe should we will elaborate what the tentative plans are here?
On February 3rd, which is a Monday, I'll be taking a position that the town posted for the building department.
Okay.
So
So
I'll be starting there February 3rd.
So you sit down here.
he has to resign from the planning board. It's part of the criteria for that. So appreciate your service and
It was a good run. This
how many years?
January would be my fourth term coming up.
What's that, 20 years?
7-year term. I've been here for 21 years.
Yeah. I think you came out just about the same time I did. I may have been 1 year.
Yeah, we started next door.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Good kids.
Well, I wish you luck. And I know you won't be a stranger because I think you're gonna be down at that end of the day.
25.
So, but, so we'll be tentatively,
What's
short of the person going into January. But,
Yeah.
I
I
think
think
there's
99,
details being worked out for that. So,
21, 99,
congratulations and, thanks for your service.
25.
Thank you. I'll be continuing working with you folks, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
And we'll be well.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, the only thing I have left is to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
And we'll see you all next year. Same to you people out there. Yes, I need a motion to.
I'll make a motion to